Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to Footprints. I am your host, Anthony Davis. I'm an educator at BHS. That's Beverly High School, for those folks who don't know, and now you do. That's like a Biggie Smalls moment for you. Today's episode is entitled The House That Stories Built. So some people build their lives with resumes, and some people build them with resumes and recipes. And some people keep receipts. There's a guy named Tony Toledo to my left, ladies and gentlemen, who built his with stories. For more than 3 decades, Tony has been hosting corn parties, potluck parties, potluck parties. Say that really fast, right? Right? House concerts, ladies and gentlemen, breakfast clubs, and something radical in 2026. Actually listening to people. He's a professional storyteller, ladies and gentlemen, and quite literally brought his little house on the hill with his words. How about that? It has no TV, I believe.
That is correct.
All right. And he has 2,000 books, which is awesome reading. And he has an art car with a heart on the passenger door for his wife, Kim, which I really love. Now, we're going to talk about this, too, because I love this. He bicycled from Oregon to Virginia in 1979, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, he hit a cow in Bend, Oregon. How about that? He's an Army veteran, a former Union steward who had a Bam Bam ponytail. I'd love to see that now, right? And a man who sends postcards every day for a month just to remind people they matter. I love that, all right? Tonight isn't just about, storytelling. It's about attention. It's about community. It's about tradition and purpose. And what happens when you decide your life is going to be handmade? This, ladies and gentlemen, is Tony Toledo to my left, and these are his footprints. Let's welcome Tony Toledo to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't have to say anything. You said it all. There we go. We can just click off the cameras and we're done.
That's it, it's over right there.
Yep.
I love it. So let's get right into it. I'm going to ask you right away. Tell us something about you, sir, that nobody knows. Could be quirky, could be kind of funny, maybe something that you've done.
Well,
in the past.
a few of my friends know, but if I come to your house and you say, I'm going to fix supper for you, what would you like? And I say, I'll eat anything except lima beans.
So here, you heard it first, ladies and gentlemen, right here. You heard it. He does not like lima beans. So
that's it.
I love it. I love it. So, Tony, do you have any hobbies?
Oh, I got plenty of hobbies. Drawing on my art car is one.
Okay.
And I would consider writing the letters a hobby and writing the postcards a hobby.
Okay.
It was probably 20 years ago. I was over at the Salvation Army on Route 1 North, where I went in there and I found a book of postcards that said Women Who Dared.
Ooh.
And I looked through this, and I knew only 10 of those 30 women that were there. I mean, it could be a Russian cosmonaut. It could be a Spanish poet. It could be anybody, but it was really cool. And I thought, I bet my niece doesn't know these women either.
How about
so
that?
She was in 5th grade up in Minneapolis, so I mailed her one every day for a month.
Wow.
And she got the biggest kick out of it. So then I had to mail the next month. I found another book of postcards, and I mailed them to her little sister who was in 3rd grade.
Oh, my gosh.
And so you had that, and that just started me on this whole journey that I will send them to I sent them to all 5 of my siblings, and then I went ahead and, like the first year that I was dating Kim, I sent her a postcard every day for a year.
How about
and she finally said, "You can slow down on that, hon. I got plenty." I said, "Okay, good."
But you know what? Something triggered you in that sense where you're like, you know what? I'm going to send a postcard to these people. Like, they touched you in a certain way. They left a footprint on you.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's why you did that, which is really awesome. So now, 18 years of pie potlucks and story swaps, right?
Yep.
How did that tradition kind of even begin?
I have always loved pie. So I love pie much more than I do cake. So, I mean, if you give me a piece of cake, chocolate cake especially, I'm going to say thank you, and I'm going to have no problem eating it.
Oh, yeah.
But given a choice for dessert, man, give me a homemade apple pie. Give me a strawberry pie. Give me a chocolate pie. Give me
pumpkin.
A lemon meringue. Give me a banana cream. I love all of those.
Okay.
And so I've always I had pies. When I was 9 years old, my grandma gave me my own peach pie for my birthday.
How about that?
So I'm over there, and I ate a big piece of it. But I got my 4 sisters and my brother and my mother and my father, and I thought, if I take the rest of this pie home, they're going to eat my birthday pie, damn it. So I sat down and I ate the whole thing. Big mistake. Big mistake. I got sicker than a dog. I still love pie. Peach is still one of my favorites.
Okay, all right.
But my friends know that I like pie.
I love it.
It was 18 years ago that I got an email from a friend of mine that had a link. And she just wrote on it, how are you going to celebrate? And I clicked on the link. That was back before people were doing other things.
For sure.
So I just click on it. Turns out that January 23rd is National Pie Day.
How about that?
It used to be. So
Who knew that?
being a storyteller, I know the librarians, and I love the Beverly Library. I think it's such a great asset in the community, and they got the community rooms. So I went over to the library, and I said, would you guys mind hosting a pie potluck? I'll be the host of it, but you guys can be the venue host. And they said,
wow.
absolutely. So we go out, and I mean, even from the first time I did it, I realized you can't just go in and have people come in at 7 o'clock and eat pie because you'll be done at 7:15. There's only so much pie you can eat.
That's right.
So it's evolved now over the years. So we got 4 tables. Wow. We'll have 80 people and 40 pies.
Wow.
People come over, and this is anybody in the community wants to come.
Are these homemade pies?
A third of them are homemade. The other 2/3 are from Stop and Shop and Market Basket or Henry's or wherever.
All right.
You know, I don't discriminate with it. I had one fellow say, oh, you should have a pie eating contest and we can all judge. And I said, that's for somebody else, not for me.
Yeah, not for you.
I just want to go ahead and have this. So I talked to them, and we have 4 tables where we put the pies out, the dessert pies out, and then we've got the savory pies against the wall on 2 tables.
Nice.
So if you brought a pizza pie, or you brought a quiche, or you brought a chicken pot pie or a shepherd's pie, we don't care. You put it over there. Those, when you come in, we figure you're coming right from work.
Right.
So you can go ahead. Those you can eat for dinner, but you got to wait till 7:45 to get to the dessert pies.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Over the years now, I mean, I can easily stand up there and talk for 45 minutes about pie.
Right.
And I would do that at first, but then I had a poem, and I had 3 friends read it with me. So I had it all photocopied out and highlighted their parts, and we had such a blast that opened it up to other people coming in with pie stories and things.
Okay.
And my buddy came over, he's here in Beverly, Kevin Sukroff, and he said, I've improved upon Shakespeare. To pie or not to pie? And he went on and did the whole thing with that. And it was a hoot. And then my buddy, Bob Stromp, came over from exotic Salem to come over to the pie potluck in January. And he had, you know that Christmas song about fa la 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 la? He puts in pie, 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 and redoes all the lyrics to it. So people are so clever and having stuff. And it's just, one of my favorite ones, my friend from Lynn came up for the pie potluck.
Okay.
She's over here, and she goes, and I say, you don't have to tell a story if you don't want to. We're just happy if you want to sit. And she says, wait a minute. I forgot I had a story. And she gets up and says, my son, when he was dating his girlfriend, now his wife, but they were just dating, and her parents invited us over for Thanksgiving. And I said, that'll be great. She goes, I knew him, but I didn't know him well, you know, so we're over here, and what can I bring? And my son said, Ma, you make a great pie. Go ahead and make a pie for us. So she goes, okay, and she made an apple pie. It was a thing of beauty, she said, just great. So everything, the whole Thanksgiving lunch goes great. So she serves the first piece of pie to her son. He takes one bite, spits it out. What'd you do? And his mouth was on fire. And she said that's how she found out that the red cinnamon can was right beside the red cayenne pepper can. And she said, oops, it was totally inedible. It was way too hot. And she said that it wasn't lost on these people that I'm a nurse and I dispense medicine. But I just love that story.
Well, that's awesome.
We've become friends through liking folk music and seeing each other in different places.
We're going to get to that a little bit, right?
Yep,
There's a guy named Dave Snow, is it?
Don White?
Don White.
Yeah, Don White.
Don White. That's the guy.
Let's
talk about Don White.
But
That's the guy.
I wanted to add one thing over here. When I was looking at what you said Footprints was and how something changes your life, the thing for me that changed my life more than any one single event was when I rode that bicycle from Oregon to Virginia.
Wow.
I'm like in my life, and I'm sure it's in a lot of the listeners' lives too, that we're smart enough to be able to say yes when somebody asks us to do something.
Oh, for sure.
We don't have to come up with all the good ideas ourselves, but when opportunity knocks, I still got to answer the door.
Without a doubt.
So I go over, my buddy Gary Hoshak, he said he wanted to ride bicycles from Oregon to Virginia. They had this Bike Centennial Trail, they called it. So they started it in 1976, had it all mapped out, 5,000 miles across the country. He had 2 other guys from high school that agreed to do it, and they wanted a 4th, so we could have 2 guys in 2 tents. And I said, okay. I'd gotten out of the Army. I went in the Army right out of high school.
Wow.
I was sent to Augsburg, Germany. I traveled around over there, had a blast, got a European discharge in the Army, and traveled around for 2 months with the year rail pass. I'd seen a fair bit of Europe, but I hadn't seen much beyond Ohio, and I wanted to go out and try this. So when I was setting up to do it, I wasn't sure if I could do it or not. But I thought, if I can't do it, the worst I'll do is go home with my tail between my legs, get on a bus, and just say I tried. But so much of stuff in life, and I was so fortunate because with all four of us, every one of us wanted to quit at one point or other. But the other three said, come on, you can do it, man, you can do it. And you had the other people cheering us on.
I love it.
And you go along, and there was just, like, all that thing with the cow was...
So how'd that happen?
I was on a gentle downhill. We're going from this, like, it wasn't a huge mountain. It was the Cascades, and it's, you know, so I'm on here. I'm doing maybe 15 miles an hour. And my three friends are behind me. Now I look up ahead. When you crossed over the mountains, it was on the ocean side there. Everything is green and lush because it rains all the time. But the mountains stop all the rain from getting over to eastern Oregon. So everything is just dry and like it's a semi-desert. So they have all the cattle ranchers, they brand their cows and they let them wander around because you'd have to have, you know, 100-acre field for each cow, and that's going to be too expensive. And in the fall, they would just harvest them up and split them out by their brands and, hey, take care of them and go ahead and have them butchered. Well, I grew up on a farm in Ohio. My father had soybeans and wheat, but we had a neighbor who was a dairy farmer, and I helped out every once in a while there and realized that cows are pretty docile animals. I look up ahead, and there's a cow grazing on the side of the road, and a car is coming toward me, and I'm going down this hill, and at that point, right where the car and the cow and I converged, the cow looked up and got spooked by the car, jumped in front of me, and bang, I hit a cow with my bicycle. And I'm sliding down the road. The only thing that really got hurt, I mean, I got scraped up on my arm, my leg. What really got hurt was my pride. Because, oh my gosh, I hit a cow. And the guy, I'm over here standing up, and I was 23 and young and stupid, and I'm over here, and I pick up a rock and I throw it at the cow, and the cow lumbers off. It wasn't hurt at all. And I'm telling the guy in the car had stopped, and I said, I'm going to sue the farmer. And he said, oh no, if you hurt his cow, the law in Oregon is the farmer can sue you for hurting his cow. And I thought, what?
That's not
cool.
And
that night, when we were camping out, because we camped out the whole way, my buddies put a play on, impromptu. One was me, one was a cow, and one was the driver. And I said, I wasn't that mad. And they were all laughing. Oh, yes, you were. You blew your top. And that was the first time I'd ever seen my own anger, like right in my face like that. And I thought, wait a minute. In this world, there's plenty of things to be angry about. If a woman is harmed, if a child is hungry, you know, if somebody causes an accident, those things are good to be upset about. Those things are good to be mad about. Hitting a cow, no. It's
Absolutely.
Just, you laugh about it, but you fast forward, like, we made it, all four of us made it from Astoria, Oregon to Pueblo, Colorado. So that was right midway, 2,500 miles.
Wow.
One guy stopped because he was almost having heat stroke. Because, you know, when it's 85, 90 degrees and you're out there, we were just drinking water and sweating, you know, and you just keep on going.
It's amazing.
And then you go ahead, and another guy had gotten done with college, and he was anxious to get a job. So even though there were two equal halves, in my mind, the bigger part I think of it is my buddy Gary and I finishing up the last 2,500 miles. Now we're riding, and like I would stop if I saw you out gardening, you had a hose out there taking care of your plants.
You'd stop and say hello?
Yep, and ask, can I fill up my water bottle? Every single time people would say yes. And it could be that, you know, the water might be a little muddy, but I'm thinking, I don't care. You drink it. This is in your house. I'm going to drink it. We are always fine. Could be that, you know, it might be sulfur water. It made you appreciate, though, when you get a glass of nice, cold, fresh well water that's just great. So we would have that.
Isn't that amazing, though, to think, here you are going across country, right? And you're riding with other people, and you're stopping, and you don't know these people, and you stop there, and they say, hey, can I have some water? And they say, sure.
Absolutely.
Imagine their surprise, and you tell them what you're doing, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, this guy's really taking life grabbing it by the horns, which is really good. That's really what you want to do.
Absolutely.
In life. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like our content, please subscribe to BevCam right here on YouTube. Don't forget, we're also on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. And by the way, if you want to be a guest on Footprints, please go to www.footprintsimpact.com. fill out the guest form, come tell us your story. We'd love to hear it. And now, back to our regularly scheduled program.
I gotta say, Mr. Anthony, that works because I filled it out for you and you called and said, can you come? And I said, absolutely. I'm honored to come on with you, sir.
Absolutely. I love it. Tony Toledo, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what have those pie nights taught you about community? When you really get together with everybody.
When you get together with everybody, I think that the idea is that we entertain each other. There's something special about breaking bread with people. So if I go out to have lunch with you, and I don't care if all we have is egg salad sandwiches. There's a joy about looking at you across the table, and we're sitting and seeing each other. People bring the pies in. We've had like funny pies. I've gone out, I'll make fudge, and pour it into a glass pie plate and then cut it into pie-shaped wedges and put a sign that says, the very rare crustless fudge pie, and then in parentheses, sometimes just called fudge. It gets eaten entirely. I had a friend of mine in 2017, she made an impeachment pie. So she put, she made a thing with a certain person that had yellow, like, angel hair pasta across the top of the pie, and then put a red tie on it.
Oh, that's
and it was
funny.
just a hoot. And then another person brought porcupine pie.
Love it.
So it was, what that was
it.
a double crust pie, and they had hunks of beef in it, and with a nice thick gravy, and then you took uncooked spaghetti and you jammed it in. So when you walked up, you just pulled a piece of spaghetti out, and it had a hunk of beef with a little bit of that crust on it, and you could have that. And I think that
perfect.
And then when we
I think I would like that.
When we open up the floor to people sharing stuff, like I got a friend of mine, Jeannie Knox, who lives here in Beverly. She can recite mathematical pi, the number to the 100th digit from memory.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's just people doing odd, fun things.
That's awesome.
There's a buddy of mine, T-Max, who's a musician, and he's got these funky clothes that he loves to wear. He dresses up as a pirate. So he comes in looking like a pirate, and he makes these jokes. And then I got a buddy that comes in from Marblehead, and he has all these pie jokes. What kind of snake likes pie? A python. And he's got this stuff. And then
we go.
My buddy from Malden comes over, another storyteller. He likes to do stories in rhyme. So he says, oh, for tonight, I've made pie-coos. They're all about, it's 575, but it's all about crust and diabetes.
Love it.
So people, I think that joy about really listening to each other.
And that's
that
the
joy
community part of it, right?
Yes, coming together. And people become friends, and you see each other, and you laugh.
Yeah.
And I think, it's never a competition,
right?
But people go ahead and just like want to up their game because they want to have something to see if they can make people laugh.
Of course.
And it's just fun. And then we go ahead. When I was 57, I had said, only the people who are 60 and older get to go eat their pie first. And somebody said, you're just doing that for yourself. And I said, that's right, I'm planning ahead. So
100%.
60 is way in the rearview mirror now.
Yeah, same for me. So now, Tony, you've been a professional storyteller since 1990, right?
That's right.
Right, that's a long time. So now, what's the biggest misconception you would say that people may have about being a professional storyteller?
Somebody thinks that I'm going to come in and I'm going to have a book and I'm going to read to the students.
Okay.
And I tell them I get a lot of the stories. I get probably 2/3 of my stories out of books, but I rework the stories in my head so that I stand up and I tell a story, and you go ahead and, it engages the kids. Especially the kindergarten, first and second graders have tons of participation. And people are often surprised that, wow, the kindergarten kids sat there through the whole 45-minute show, but it goes by quick. They're joining in and they're laughing. But you got to think about things on the fly.
Oh, yes.
There's one story I do called The Little Rooster and the Turkey Sultan.
All right.
So this little rooster, this old lady in the land of Turkey, she tells her little rooster, go ahead and peck for your lunch. And he pecks because she didn't have any money. And he pecked up a diamond button. He has all these adventures with the Turkey Sultan, and he ends up getting the Turkey Sultan's money and his diamond button back after the Turkey Sultan had stolen it.
How about that?
And there's one boy, when I get done with this, he raises his hand. I go, yes, sir, what can I do for you? He goes, I know how that little rooster got his magic stomach. I go, how? I thought he always had it. Oh, no, he got it when he picked up that diamond button. And I started laughing. I said, that's brilliant.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't say in the story how he got it, but I love that you're thinking of it and you're doing that.
So that's a beautiful part of what you do. You're now leaving those footprints on those kids.
Yep.
Right? And now they're taking that story and they're figuring out, oh, wait, it could be this, it could be that, which is really awesome. right? You're really making people think with your stories, which is a beautiful thing, right? We really love that. Now, I just want to ask this question because I was thinking about it a little bit. If 1979 Tony met today's Tony, what would you ask him?
If 1979
Tony, who was riding the bike, right, met today's Tony, Toledo, what would you ask him?
Are you still riding your bike? Have you hit any more cows?
I love it.
And it's funny, I gotta say though, you know, when I thought if you rode a bicycle 5,000 miles across the country, it would have like 100-year good health residual effect.
Right.
But it does not. You know, after a winter of eating pies, you gotta get out and ride. I had gone it was the beginning of May one year, and I thought it was a beautiful sunny day, very warm for here for May, and I thought, I'm gonna ride my bicycle up to Gloucester, and I'm gonna go over there, and I'm gonna go see my friends. So, you know, you're going along 127 and it's nice and it's got the hills and stuff. I make it up to Gloucester perfectly fine. I know that I'm up there and I'm gonna ride back. Right. So I just had a cup of tea, you know, chatting with my friends, and then I get on the bike, and every one of those little hills starts turning into Mount Everest. And I'm going slower and slower, and it's getting like later and later, and I am just exhausted. And like, when I went across the country, I rode across the Rockies, and I went over probably, I don't know, half a dozen tall mountain passes. I never had to walk the bike. You just drop it into first gear, and you know, I can ride up this wall if I can stick to it, basically. Right. I mean, I'm gonna go slow as a snail, but I'm gonna get up there.
You gotta get up there,
But when I got back from Gloucester, though, to my horror and shame, I had to walk the bike up Prospect Hill to get to my house at the top of the hill. I couldn't even put the key in the lock. I sat down and I rang the bell, and my then wife comes over and opens the door laughing. I crawl across the kitchen into the shower with my clothes on, and I tell her, shoot me. And that's when I knew I had to go a little more.
That was it, right?
Yep.
So now you just mentioned your wife. Are you married now?
Nope, I have, like, this was, I met this woman when I was working a long time ago in Peabody at a program for mentally disabled folks.
Okay.
So she's deaf, and she was downstairs.
All right.
So we started dating. We ended up getting divorced in 2018, and I put out the word that I wanted to, if there was anybody that, you know, could talk about divorce, I decided I want to go ahead and, you know, learn from somebody that, I'll buy you a burger, I'll buy you a beer, we'll go on.
We'll
and
chit-chat,
that led me to this woman, a friend of a friend, put me in touch with this woman, Kim.
Oh.
And Kim is like the smartest cookie I have met. She is over here. She had great advice about her divorce, what went good, what went bad, you know, looking at things very honest. And then I went ahead and had, like we met it. She came over to my house, and then she had me go up to Georgetown where she lives. She got me pizza, and I wanted to reciprocate. So I said, hey, you want to go over and have some Thai food over here? Siam Delight's great. She says, sure. So we're kind of eating the food. I mean, I love their food. And she's just kind of picking at it. I thought maybe she's not hungry. That's all right. Only like 6 months later do I find out she thinks all Thai food smells like cat pee. And I'm over here because I will eat Thai food all day long. I just love it. And like, I'm thinking we're flirting with each other, but I don't want to like lean in for a kiss and have her slap me. What are you doing? So I texted her and said the next time we go out for dinner, now that was, you know, it's an assumption on my part we're going to have dinner again. And then I said, would it be possible? Would it be possible to call it a date? Because then I might have a tiny chance of kissing you goodnight. And I, you know, and so if she, you know, she could say, oh no, you know, she wrote back one word, absolutely.
Oh, how about
that?
So
we have been dating now, and I'm so proud of her. May 1st will be her 5th anniversary. She opened a thrift store in Georgetown.
Oh, good for her. That's exciting, right?
Right.
All right, and there you are. And here again, she's leaving footprints on the community of Georgetown by doing that. Right? And that's the beautiful thing. Now, you're a cornhole party guy as well. 32 years.
That's right.
Why?
Because this started out in, I mean, I got a world of absolutely wonderful friends. I mean, there's been times when I didn't have 2 nickels to rub against each other, and there's been times when I had a couple extra dimes. But to go ahead and be so generously invited to different Hanukkah parties and different Christmas parties and holiday parties. And I wanted to do something to reciprocate, but the month of December was so jammed full with all these parties, you couldn't take a shoehorn and put another one in.
Right.
So I grew up in Ohio, and there was a farm stand that had the best sweet corn, and I've always loved. You know, you have sweet corn, you boil it up, it's just great.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to go ahead and have a corn party and just invite my friends to come over for that in August.
That.
So it just...
That's awesome.
It's always the second Saturday of August, so that people, you know, you can remember when it is. And then over the years, it's morphed into this, like, summer camp for adults.
Okay.
So I have all these games, and I just love to
an
play
LP
them.
toss, right?
Yes.
So what is that? Tell me about that.
I take a record, and I take one LP and I put it in the yard, and it's like about as far away as the camera is there, maybe 10 feet. And I go ahead, everybody has another record, and you try to throw it on top of it.
Oh, okay.
But in our mind, it looks sort of like a Frisbee, so we think it goes like this, but it hits you in the chest. And everybody's laughing. And then you go ahead and you see who can get that. We used to have a checkers tournament, but my friends took it so serious, they wouldn't finish till 2 in the morning.
Yeah, that's a long time.
You know the little kids game, the Connect Four?
Of course.
So we play that, because you play each round is you do 2 out of 3, whoever wins that. And you have that. Why, there was a girl one time, 6 years old. She beat me 2 straight games. What? Boom, just took off.
Just like
but
that.
I'd already had 2 beers and she hadn't had any. So, you know, you look at that.
Well, that would be why.
Right. And then...
So now, let me ask you this. What keeps people coming back to this thing every year? 32 years running.
It's the corn party. It's having fun with it. It's trying to do something different every year. Think of something. Like last year, my girlfriend with her thrift store, somebody donated all these trophies. She goes, nobody's going to buy these. Do you want them? I said, sure. So I took masking tape on the bottom of the trophy where it said, you know, Anthony was a soccer champion from 1986.
Yeah.
And I just take masking tape and write, best maker of pig noises, or best, most handsomest nose, or best ear wiggler, or best waver of your left, you know, just make up anything.
I love it.
And you give out these trophies, and it makes people laugh.
Absolutely.
And then I gotta say too, that like when I got all these games, and people love to play the games. They come in. I got a friend of mine, Joey, and she is so competitive. She's a storyteller. She just makes me, she wants to win as many as she can. And she's going, like if she's going to do that Connect Four with you, she's looking at you. She's going to go and watch you play somebody else and see what your strategy is and try to figure out how she's going to beat you. But you go ahead, and it was always sunny weather for the longest time. And you have, like, you know, sometimes it was overcast, but it never rained until one time it rains. Now, I had this file of word games and stuff I could do. We get 40 people jammed in the living room, and then we're all playing these word games. Like what does corn stand for?
Right.
So my honey, Kim, got it. And we vote on which one we thought was best. It could be, she had, can ovaries really negotiate? And we were howling. And then
I love it.
I take is it Bogle, something, that game?
Oh, yeah, Bogle.
Yeah, so you take that, and I have 16 letters, and we have it on a sheet of paper, and everybody has 2 minutes to go ahead and try to make as many words as you can out of that.
Yeah.
And then
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm on Words with Friends since 2016, by the way.
Wow. Now, the other thing we'll do is we'll have, because the party starts at 2:49. If you pick a weird time, people always come. People drive around at 2:45. Can't come in for 4 minutes yet. I said, you guys are foolish. Come in here, just come. But they're, oh no, we're gonna drive at 2:49. Come in. And my friend Joey, Little Miss Competitive, when we're doing you make a list of things that go up. Things that have zippers, things that are in a glove box, things that, you know, you just come up with these different things that if somebody gives me a good one and we put it in, and I was saying do it for 2 minutes, and she said, oh no, do it for 2 minutes and 49 seconds. I said, I love that. Yeah. So that's what we've been doing since then, 2 minutes and 49 seconds.
So those are the traditions that you've come up with.
Right,
at
and
the
you
corn
just
party,
play
right?
with them, and it builds that community. You're laughing.
I love it. I love it.
Have you ever heard of a brain strain game? That's what I call it.
No.
Go to your junk drawer, and you get 10 of the weirdest objects you can find. And if they're really strange, it's all the better. So you have those things, you put them out here on a tray. Everybody gets to look at them for 1 minute without talking. Then you take a towel, cover them up, and everybody has 1 minute to write down as many as they can remember.
Wow.
And my buddy T-Mex has been our judge for years. So if you just put down green thing, he's going to say, oh, no, you only get a quarter of a point. There's like 8 things that are green over there. But if you say green thing that looks like it fit on a pipe or something, oh, that's good. You're specifically talking about that one.
Yeah.
And people, we've had to go up to 20 now because people got so good at it.
I love it.
And it's just the whole...
So think about what you're doing right here. A whole community, you've been doing it for 32 years, right? Over 3 decades.
Yep.
People coming together at the corn party, having a good time, playing all these games. Those are the footprints you're leaving on those folks when they come there.
Absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing, Tony. It's a beautiful thing, believe me. Now, I'm going to switch gears a little bit. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to subscribe to here BevCam, and don't forget we're on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. And guess what? If you want to come and tell us your story, please go to www.footprintsimpact.com, fill out the guest form, tell us your story, and it'll be awesome, believe me. Now, I want to switch a little gears.
I want to say that you said this is the 53rd episode now?
That is correct.
Because I come to this game late, I want to go ahead, when we have another blizzard, I'm going to be going on and looking at your other interviews. Because you, sir, have just a comfort about you that draws stuff out of people. It's nice.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I love doing it.
It shows.
And you can tell that, when you have guests just like this to tell stories like that, it's awesome. I really enjoy everything you've been saying so far. It's been beautiful. Now, let me ask you a couple good questions here.
Okay.
Switch gears a little bit. Army veteran, right?
Yes.
How long in the Army?
3 years in the Army.
3 years. Okay. Now, how did your time in the Army sort of shape who you became?
When I was in high school, I was a good student. I was in National Honor Society, I was in wrestling, I was in the school newspaper, but my father was a glass glazer, putting in windows and stuff indoors. We always had food, but we got hand-me-down clothes from my cousins. That's just how, you had to do it.
Sure.
So you're over here, never felt a lack of anything, but I would say we were certainly not rich, so I was gonna go in the Army. My uncle John, my mom's brother, had been in the Army for 20 years.
Wow.
And my father had served in the Korean conflict. Both of my grandparents were in World War I.
Oh, boy. So there's the footprints there, right?
There's some footprints there with that. And I was thinking I might make a career out of the Army. So I go into the Army, and there's a guy who's got about 19 seconds more rank than me. And I'm over here cleaning the toilet, and he's got his arms crossed, and he's saying, "You missed a spot. Keep scrubbing." And I thought, perhaps this is not the joy that I thought it was going to be.
Correct.
But when you ask about the Army, I'm very proud that I served in the Army.
Okay.
I was in peacetime Army, but I was also the insurance policy for Uncle Sam.
Okay.
If there was ever any potential for a conflict, when you're in active duty, you are sent. You don't have a choice. You got to go.
You're just going to go, yeah. So tell me about the Easter bear hunt.
Well, wait, I want to go the Army a little bit. When I grew up over there, I was in the Army, and one of the things, I had a friend of mine who, I was a private and he was a sergeant. He took me under his wing. Okay. And that kept a lot of the, hazing down from me.
Of course.
And I mean, he was a great guy. He had a friend of his that their schedule tied up twice a year for a 4-day weekend.
Wow.
And they always got together and hung out. And he would always invite me to come over with his friend. Okay. And they had some Crown Royal and they were pouring me one. Oh, I don't drink that here. Drink that. Oh, no. And by the third one, I was just grabbing it myself. And I was in such a bad way the next day, and I had to go to work.
Oh, no.
So I learned, in the Army, you learn to be responsible. You have to show up. I don't care if I stayed up half the night. I've got to go to work. I've got to be there. Yes. And it's a thing where you do the best you can when you're over there. And I made friends that I'm still friends with to this day.
Okay. I love it. I love it. So think about those footprints, too, that were imprinted on you way back when, right? In the Army. Taking those and carrying those forward and making sure you understand it's about your choices and what you do with it, right? Yep. Because a lot of times people try to live their lives for other people, but you can't really do that, right? You have to really understand that the responsibility of your happiness falls on you. So therefore you decided, hey, this is not for me. The Army's not for me. Right. I'm gonna switch gears, I'm gonna get out of there, and I'm gonna do something else completely different. Now, as we're talking about this, I'm thinking you're involved with something called the Old Goats Potluck Breakfast Club.
That is correct.
Right? Now, I'm thinking about this now. It says we really listen to each other, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of rare. So tell me a little bit about that. What makes that group a little bit different?
This one, the corn party, I can have 50 or 60 people come over. So for the the Old Goat's Breakfast Potluck, what I'm doing is specifically inviting a handful of people, 8 to 10, people come over, and then we go ahead and everybody brings the most generous food and donuts and fruit and yogurt, and we're there.
Yeah.
And everybody I got a coffee maker that I bought for it. We pass around the coffee pot. And then I say, we're going to go around the room and just check in and see what you're thinking about today. Or I might have a topic that I'll ask everybody. And it's also the thing, it's like your interviews here. You might have a topic, but if I want to veer off, you say, absolutely, go whatever you want to. So if something's on your mind. But the thing that is astounding is my friend came over, Gracie came over. She said, oh, I turned 77 tomorrow. And she's talking to us when it was her turn to talk as we go around the table. And she said, my father was Canadian and my mom and dad hadn't gotten married yet. I was 7 years old and immigration came into our apartment and threw me out of my bed and ripped open my closet to find my father and drag him out of my closet. And they sent him back to Toronto. He always got back within a month. And finally, when her parents got married, that stopped. But I thought that it's the same immigration stuff that's going on now with things.
No question, no question.
And so she had
tough.
that, and it's just like this joy. I make sure that everybody, like if you don't institute just going around the table, then what happens is you might have a day where you're feeling a little bit tired or something. You're happy to come over, say you were over there.
Yeah.
But if you're not specifically asked, you don't hey, because we've all got days. Even you and I, who are Mr. Energetic,
100%.
there's days for taking in
100%.
and days
Those
for just...
days where you're like, your batteries is low.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Things aren't quite going the way you want them to go.
And the inspiration for the breakfast potluck, my buddy Joshua loves jazz. Now, he lives here in Beverly, but I might go 6 months without getting a hold of him and having a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah.
So I get a hold of him, and I said, I got this jazz CD I want to give you. Spent the princely sum of $2 on it for you. And he's like, we met over at the Atomic, and I just thought, this is fantastic. We sat there for an hour just catching up and talking.
So that's the beautiful part of what you do, is you talk to all types of people. And you're able to extract a lot of information from them, right? And the beautiful part about that is, as you're doing that, you're leaving a footprint on them, and they're leaving one on you.
Yes.
Which is a beautiful thing.
And the more we learn about each other, the more we like each other.
100%.
You and I don't have to like the same kind of music, but the fact that we like music is cool.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate the craftsmanship that the people that you like. And you can look at mine and you see. Or maybe you like lima beans and I don't. I don't know, whatever.
I do not like lima beans, for the record.
All of a sudden everybody comes in and they bring you lima beans. You want to put a kibosh on that right away.
Right away. Absolutely.
But I think, too, that when... with the Little Breakfast Club, because it's just, and one of my friends had asked, Tony, how did you pick me to come to this? And I said, every single one of you, they didn't know each other, but I knew each one of them. Right. And I said, all of you are fantastic people. Every conversation I've ever had with you, I wished I had it longer. So I want to come in and, and it turns out that I think the people like it. It's been going now since September.
Oh my gosh.
So it's nice. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, but it's just that joy.
Yeah.
And it's, like if I'm sitting over at a coffee shop, and what if there's 8 people waiting to sit down? Right. I don't want to have another cup of coffee with you. So you and I got to leave because I want to, that's how they make their money. They're tips, so they're going over here.
Absolutely. You got to always be cognizant of that, right?
Yep.
Be empathetic for other people. That's the beautiful part of it.
And when Gracie said it was her birthday the next day, there's this couple from Gloucester, Audie and Peter.
Okay.
And they do sea shanties and singing, and they beautiful voices.
Love it.
They launch into this strange happy birthday song that I just love. So it's just paying attention to each other, having fun.
Well, you mentioned Gloucester. By the way, I've been living in Gloucester, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, 35 years. My wife is from there. She grew up there. Shout out to my wife, Courtney. Her grandmother, Evie Parsons, used to own the Rudder Restaurant on Rocky Neck many years ago. So there's that. And so it's a beautiful place, and Gloucester's lovely. Now, tell me a little bit about the art car. Give me a little bit about that. How did that happen? How did you decide that normal crowd just wasn't enough?
Right. I thought you got to start out drawing. So I got a friend of mine, Garlic George, in Toledo. Garlic George sends me probably 20 letters for every one I send him. Okay. And I told him, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write you a letter every Thursday for a year. Okay. Because then I would draw on the outside of the envelope.
Right.
figuring if the letter's no good, at least you get to see something and try to learn something. And George was very encouraging about getting me to draw.
Right.
He'd gone to art school, didn't
Okay.
graduate, but he just loved it, and he still loves art. And then I had my friend Alicia, who's a storyteller up in Gloucester, she cut an article out of the New York Times. A woman took to-go paper coffee cups at the Flatiron Building in New York City and drew on them and had hundreds of them hanging around the coffee shop. And
Wow.
she said, you ought to do this. So I said, oh, I like that idea. So I started drawing on the coffee cups.
Oh my gosh.
And then I got let's see, this was in 2016. I got a 2003 Honda Civic that was white. And I looked at it and I suddenly thought, that looks like a giant piece of paper. So
you just went to town on it,
It's
huh?
also because it's an old car.
Right.
So, you know, if I got a brand new Mercedes, like a storyteller in the world has ever had a Mercedes.
Right.
But you go ahead, I thought, and it's all an experiment. And with me, everything's on the cheap because I don't, storytelling's not exactly a license to print money.
Yeah.
But you go ahead, and I took Sharpies because it says permanent, and I drew just on the hood. And within 2 months, it had basically worn off or faded so much. That led me to find oil-based black Sharpies. I put those on, and it stayed good.
Okay.
And I mean, I might need to touch up a little bit if you go through a car wash and it rubs it off. I had that car, and then
So you got the heart on the passenger side for Kim.
that's my second car now.
Oh, okay.
That car I sold to my buddy. His son needed a car, and he's a musician.
Okay.
So, like a lot of people don't want an art car because it draws a lot of attention.
Absolutely.
I was driving down 128 and people are honking and I'm with Kim and she's in the car and I'm trying to tell her it's because I'm so famous. I'm such a famous storyteller. And they're giving me the thumbs up and we both know it's because somebody liked the car.
Yeah.
I sold that. He drove the car to Chicago. I always had the car. Like I put a new radiator in it. I put a new timing belt in it. I really kept it up good.
Yeah, nice.
So the thing was good. He drove it over to Chicago, got rear-ended by a guy in a stolen car.
Oh no.
Airbag went off. He was perfectly fine.
Well, you know
But
what?
the car
That was good that
destroyed.
he got that.
Yep. So my brother had a blue Honda Accord that he sold to me.
Wow.
So I went ahead and looked at that and I thought, I'm going to put gold on it because I like blue and gold as a nice color scheme. And my brother tells me, he lives in Columbus, Ohio, and he said, you cannot put blue and gold on that car and park it in my driveway. That's Michigan
said,
colors.
"No way, huh?"
No, and I'm over here and I said, Bob, once you sell it to me, there's no writer on
I
the title
love
that
it.
says you can't have it. But I ran into a friend of mine who also had done his van as an art car, and he said, Tony, if you do gold is going to fade just like that original Sharpie you had.
Yeah, so now you gotta
I
figure out
used
something,
a
huh?
silver paint stick that's oil-based, and it works great.
Beautiful.
And I've got that out there. And I had this design that was sort of like this that came to me, and I drew that on the hood, and then I kept riffing off of that. And then people said it looks like at the back of a deck of playing cards. And I like that. So I put each one of the suits of the playing cards on the car door.
card.
But
Oh.
that's why I had to put the heart on the passenger
smart,
side
very
because
smart.
that's where Kim gets
I
in.
love it. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first by Tony Toledo. The heart on the door is for Kim, and it's also because of playing cards. We love
That's
that. We love that. Now, 2,000 books you own, right?
Yes.
No,
I'm guessing.
Okay, no TV at all.
No
Was that
TV.
intentional?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so tell me, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book of all time, Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
I've read it 19 times
Okay.
that I could keep track of.
All right.
So when if I drop let's see, I was in law school, dropped out of law school. I rode my bicycle down the coast of California, was broke, ended up at my parents' house. And I read The Lord of the Rings then. I was in the Army. My friend turned me on to it. And I just loved it there. And I thought, this is so cool.
Yeah.
So I had that.
You ever watch the movie?
Oh, yeah. Watch the movies. I have those. And I'm glad I read the books first.
Yes.
Because
Gives you a little bit more
image,
understanding,
Well,
right?
but the image of it, like Gandalf, is more mysterious to me than the movies make it. But it's just, you got your own image in my head. But that image is the first one that came to me. And there's one of my favorite books about books is A Gentle Madness, Bibliophiles, Bibliomanes, and the Eternal Passion for Books.
Wow.
By Nicholas Basbanes.
Okay.
He thought it was going to take him 2 years to write it. It took him 9. And it's got all these book-related stories. And there was a book thief that went into university libraries and he stole incredibly valuable books. Never sold them.
Right.
Just put them in his house in Ottumwa, Iowa, where Radar from MASH was at.
Oh, my.
And so he's over there and I went to his book signings. I would not say we're friends, but we're acquaintances. He
kinda
knows
know
who I
each
am.
other,
Yeah. And he signs, when I have his books to have him sign them, he puts the date in Roman numerals, which I thought was so cool. And
Just to make sure you're paying attention.
he had a book that was called Book Collecting for the 21st Century.
Okay.
And he said one of his favorite parts of his collections was his orphan books. Orphan books being library discard books.
Oh, wow.
And I got my copy of Gentle Madness was a library discard from Orlando,
I love it.
Florida. And he's the only author in the entire collection that I have that I took a library discard book to have the author sign it. Because if you're the author, you're going to think, you can't even pay $25 for a book. You got to get it for $1 at a library book sale.
I love it.
But he signs it for me, and it says,
care of it. I
yeah,
love
to
it.
say it pisses me off is an understatement. And I say, and loved, and loved. And he puts and loved, and he signs it. This guy is so generous.
How about that?
He drove over from where he lives, someplace around Worcester, and he came over to the North Shore UU Church in Danvers.
Wow.
And gave a book talk on Sunday morning.
You kidding?
No.
Wow, that's
right.
You know what? That's dedication, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
Yep.
Dedication. Tell me about the Silver Dollar House concerts, Don White specifically.
Don White, like I've always known, I mean, I love folk music. So when I first came out here, they had WERS out of Emerson College, 88.9.
Oh.
They had a show called The Coffee House.
I was on WERS, ladies and gentlemen. I went to Emerson College.
Ah, look at you.
How about
There
that?
you go.
89.
So I go in there and I fall in love with all the folk music. And Don is one of the people that I heard. And I just love him. He's got a song called I Know Exactly What Love Is. And if the only thing he ever wrote was that, he should be in the Folk Music Hall of Fame. It's just a fantastic song. He and I met each other, and I'd gone over, there was a mutual friend had a party, and neither one of us knew anybody beside the host. So we're over there just hanging out and talking. And the more I talk to him, the more I like him. This guy lives in Lynn, and he's got he's a professional folk singer. He's got a 3,000 person email list, and he says, I want to start an open mic in Lynn, a spoken word open mic in Lynn, and I'm looking for a host. Anybody want to do it? And before I could contact him, he contacts me.
How about that?
And says, hey, you want to go ahead and host this? And I said, I'll do it for a month and see how it goes. I loved it so much, I did it every Wednesday for 7 years. And Don was we said he was the silent partner because he'd sit in the back of the room and he would do a feature every August. And then, just a great guy. And then when I said after 7 years, I want my Wednesdays back, and I'm still involved with it. I go down and feature, I go down to see my friends. And then Don, we're all getting a little older, so he says, hey, Tony, can you do a house concert for me? I said, absolutely, Don. That corn party that I have, I pick up folding chairs over the years so you can have them out in the yard.
Yeah.
So I got 30 folding chairs.
Nice.
I moved the sofa and the lazy boy out into the porch, and then I put up all these folding chairs so I can get 30 people in the living room.
How perfect is that?
The first time I had Don, there was 15 people there. He's happy. And when it's a house concert, you can't take money in advance because that becomes a business. So you just have a bucket at the door. And if you want to come in and put, it says suggested donation. But if you've only got $5, perfectly fine. Come in. We want you to come in.
Yeah.
All that money goes to Don. And then the next year when I did it, we had 17.
Wow.
And I said, I want to get to 30 people.
Yeah.
Because Don deserves it. He is a fantastic folk singer. He's funny. He's written 2 books. He's got one called Memoir of a C Student, his growing up in Lynn. And his dust jacket says his brother put a blurb on it. From the moment I saw this title, I knew it was a pack of lies. My brother was a D student.
I love it.
And Don, so for the 3rd time when he came over, I went ahead and I contacted every single person I thought might like it, probably 100 people, but I got 30 people to come over for Don.
Wow.
And then we also have, when you're talking about community, talking about the footprints,
Oh, yeah.
I tell people, if you want, come over at 6:30 and bring anything for like an appetizer. You can bring cookies, you can bring a cheese plate. People bring all sorts of stuff.
It's beautiful.
And we're having that. But you got to ride herd on the time because these people, they don't have to know each other. If you come to the house concert, and we could be talking, and if you're not watching the time, you can start out a half hour late.
Wow.
And we want to have it be done so it gets over at 9, so you can be back in bed at 9:30.
Oh, I love it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's think about this for a minute. Hopefully you've been listening and listening to Tony Toledo. This guy has a full life. He does potluck parties, pie parties, ladies and gentlemen. He does corn parties. He's had Don White come over as a folk singer. He's been in the Army. All these footprints he's been leaving on young kids telling stories. And think about your footprints right now in this particular moment if you're listening to this episode. I want you to visualize your life and your footprints and where you might want to go with it and what you want to do. So I'm going to ask Don a couple more questions. Next one is, if you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, famous or not famous, who would it be and why?
Interesting question. Who would it be? I don't know, it just popped into my head, Martin Luther King.
MLK,
I
okay.
think that Martin Luther King, when we look at racial justice and we look at just like economic justice and helping people, and I think of him as such a brilliant man.
Yeah.
And I'd gone down, Washington, D.C. have you seen the Martin Luther King Memorial down there?
Yes, I have.
I went down there and I didn't have a camera, but I had a sketchbook, and I drew that memorial. And the ranger was telling us that the reason is from his knees up is because when he was assassinated, his work wasn't done, and you and I and everybody listening has to carry on his work and do our best to make the world a better place.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. I love that about you. That's a great, great pick. So for me, I always think about this question, and it's almost twofold for me. And I'm such a sports junkie. For me, it would be Kobe Bryant. Now, the thing is, I love Kobe Bryant. And don't get me wrong, I love Michael Jordan. I think Michael Jordan is probably the greatest basketball player that ever lived in my era. Because my son has recency bias, but that's another story. But Kobe Bryant entered a men's league at 17. And I want to know, if I sat with him at dinner or lunch, what made you think that you could get into a men's league and accomplish at 17 and do the things that you did to really have people follow that? Like, what were those footprints like?
Absolutely.
What were your parents like? I would love to have known that from him. I think that it would be interesting to sit and listen to him really, expound on that. Give me a little bit of insight as to how that happened. You know what I mean?
No, when you're talking about your listeners and talking to each other, telling stories, I want to leave everybody with 3 questions that you can have. So, how did you get your first name? What's something most people don't know about you? Ooh. And then the third one is, what's your shameless brag? What do you do great?
Ooh,
whether it's for money or for, just love. So for me, I'll give you my examples, and I want to hear yours.
All right, go ahead.
So Tony, same name, Anthony.
Same name.
My father's middle name and my grandfather's middle name. And these 2 men that are long gone that I love dearly, it's my invisible thread connecting me to them.
No doubt.
Now,
well, you know what's funny? So is mine.
Wow.
So keep going.
And then something most people don't know about me, I went to Noble Elementary School in Defiance, Ohio.
Okay.
Little tiny school there, and got a pretty good education.
Yeah.
And then the shameless brag, you can have anything. A lot of times I say it's my bicycle trip across the country.
Yeah.
But today I'm going to say, when I was in 8th grade, Mrs. Aldrich gave me an award for having good penmanship.
Oh,
that
I love
will
it.
never happen again.
I love it.
So how did you get, so you said name Anthony for you?
Anthony for me, for sure. Well, my dad's name was Woodrow, but I mean, Woodrow Anthony. So that's one of the biggest things I think for me. So name recognition, connecting each other. I met my wife, and her last name was Baker, and I went to the Baker School in Brookline when I was a kid. So I connected dots there.
Yep.
And she lived on Davis Street in Gloucester before she even met me, and that's my last name, Davis. So how about that? All right, a common thread. And my humble brag would be I scored 46 points in a high school basketball game against Patrick Ewing in Cambridge Ridge in Latin.
Wow.
Back in the day. That's my humble brag.
Terrific. I had a friend of mine from Rochester, New York, came over, and we're hanging out. And when you get done with the pizza, you just have, once you get that little lull, I ask her the 3 questions.
Yeah.
And she answered the third one saying, last year, I collected the most eyeglasses of anybody in the United States for Lions International.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And I said, how on earth could you not tell me that?
Yeah.
Well, she goes, well, it's not the first thing you say, but I said, if I wouldn't have asked, I never would have known.
How about
you must
that?
have worked so hard with that.
So that's a beautiful part about what you do. You tap into people, and you pull out and extract this information and these footprints from them, and you leave it on them like they leave one on you.
Yep.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Tony, it's been great talking to you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to leave you with this. There's something really powerful about a man who chooses to gather people. That would be this guy. In a world that scrolls, Tony, he hosts. In a world that streams, Tony, he listens. I do too. In a world that texts, Tony sends postcards. We love. He reminds us that community isn't built with grand gestures. It's built with pie on folding tables and corn in the backyard and a living room concert and maybe breakfast where nobody really interrupts you, right? Which is what we love. Tony's life, ladies and gentlemen, is proof that meaning doesn't require fame, it requires attention to stories, to neighbors, and to the person sitting in the passenger seat with a heart painted on the door. That'd be Kim, right? Maybe the takeaway isn't, ladies and gentlemen, that we all need to bike across the country as he did or collect 2,000 books. Maybe it's much simpler than that. Maybe host something. Maybe listen longer. Maybe send a postcard, right? So don't forget, the house that built the stories this man tells will always leave an lasting impression, right? And as always, I leave you with this question. Who left a footprint on you? Thanks for listening to Footprints. I'll see you next time, and bye-bye.